So I've been sitting here in front of my computer wanting to make this video for some time now and procrastinating like crazy, as many of us do when we don't want to do something that we know we have to do. But here I am finally making this video and trying to share a piece of me with each and every one of you that's very hard for me to share, and making a request that's very hard for me to make. Obviously, asking for help has never been my strong suit. So a few weeks ago, we had, or actually a month ago at this point, we launched our third annual Dance for Kindness event, and it took place in 30 cities, 30 countries, 80 cities, 10,000 participants. It was really something spectacular. Just watching the videos of all these people taking part and being impacted brought tears to my eyes. And so, as many of you know, I launched, or maybe you don't know, I launched a crowdfunding campaign on that very day to raise funds for the organization so that we can continue impacting people's lives, because I see the impact that it's having and I hear the impact that it's having. But obviously, continuing to have that impact requires funding. And I left my job 3.5 years ago and invested everything I had into the organization. And I don't look at it as a sacrifice at all, because this is exactly what I was meant to do. I'm doing exactly what I was meant to do. But it's hard. It's really hard. Sometimes it gets to the point where it feels like, how am I going to do it? But I always have to keep reminding myself that it's not the how that we have to remember, it's the why. And I know exactly why I'm doing this. But it's also come to a point where I know I can't do this by myself. And so launched this campaign thinking, great, it's going to be on this amazing day where I know so many thousands of people are taking part and they know what we're doing. If everyone just contributes a little, it's going to be really easy to be able to raise the funds that we need so that we can actually continue to exist and continue to move forward. And it was very disheartening for me when I saw like the numbers not exactly moving and funds not being raised. And it sort of put me into a really not good place and made me start questioning and doubting myself and doubting, like, does this organization really matter to people the way that it matters to me, the way that I thought it matters to them? And those are hard questions to ask yourself. And so I decided to, make a whole shift to the campaign and so on and so forth. Last week was a really hard week for me. It was probably one of the hardest. I fell in a really not such a great place. And a lot of you know me as being very positive, and I am very positive. I do believe everything happens for a reason. But let me just tell you something, and those of you out there who are very positive also, and everyone always thinks, oh, we have to be positive. Even the most positive people in the world feel low sometimes. It's natural. It's normal. It wouldn't be normal if you didn't. But very often, when you are a positive person or when you're a strong person, it's very hard to actually open up when you're not having when things are not so great. And that's very hard for me to do, apparently, obviously. And so I did something that, I don't know, I was just in the moment last week. I posted up a message on Facebook, nothing like major, but just something like, asking, what do people who are strong for other people, where do they turn when they need somebody to be strong for them? I was really feeling really low, and I didn't even think anyone was going to respond. And a woman in my community, not only did she respond, but she messaged me on my cell phone and she refused to not come over. And when I'm saying I was really not in a good place, I was really down. And not knowing how this amazing organization that's been impacting people's lives, how could it not exist, How could it not be able to continue? And she refused to not to come over. So she came over to my house. And she picked me up, and she said something to me that really sort of made me change my perspective on everything. And she said, Orly, you've never actually asked the question, how could people know that you need help? And I said, yeah, but I putting it up there. And she said, no, you're not. You didn't ask. You never asked for help. And I said, She said, it's obviously very hard for you. And I said, it's the hardest thing in the whole entire world for me to do. And she then said to me something that really got to me. She said, what's worse? Asking and then being let down or feeling rejected because people don't come forward? Or, 10 years from now, bumping into somebody on the street and they're like, oh, how are you? Don't you have this like organization? And then you say, yeah, well, we had to close it down, because unfortunately we didn't have the funding. And then they turn to you and they say, oh my goodness, I wish I would have known. And she said, what is worse of a feeling? And I said, that's definitely worse of a feeling. Because that's going to make me feel like I didn't give it my all. Like maybe there was something more I could have done. Yeah, asking is hard. And hearing no is also very hard. But the truth is, it made me realize that I'm not really putting enough faith in you guys. In every single one of you that's supported me and empowered me and encouraged me and writing all these ways that the organization has impacted you. I'm not putting enough faith in you. And that makes me feel really bad. And perhaps I'm going to ask and I'm not going to necessarily receive what I was hoping to receive. But at least I know that I've done everything I can. That I've put myself out there in that way. And that I've at least asked for help. Maybe people will give, maybe they won't. But at least I know that I've asked. So this is the hardest thing. Asking for help. So this is me turning to you and asking you to help. It's not about helping me. It's really about helping us. It's about helping you too. Because every single dollar that's given goes right back into the organization to effect change in millions of people's lives. And if you're one of those people that have been impacted, right now is when I need help the most. You can contribute, whether you want to support by giving a contribution. It's not a number. You could support at fuelkindness.com, whether you share it with your family, your friends, or you repost this video, or you talk about it. But anything that you can do, now is the time to do it. I now know that I've put all of my cards out on the table. The organization is in a very fragile state. Yes, we're impacting change. And yes, we've done so much. And I could tell you about all the things that we're doing, all the things that we're going to continue to do. But right now, the organization needs your help to continue to give back. I need your help. That's very hard to say. Thank you guys for hearing me out. And let's try and make things happen. Regardless of what you say, thank you for taking the time to listen. Bye.